Hey everybody, and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and today I'm going to introduce you guys to a very special friend of mine. I'm joined today by the amazing Lyndsey Baigent. So hi Lindsey, how are you going?
Hey, really nice to be here, Sam, as always.
Well, this is going to be a really fun episode. I can feel it already because, as always, we have a little bit of a yarn before we get started and we jump in and we talk to you guys. So we've got some kind of formula around what we're going to talk about. I'm just going to put it out there. This could go anywhere today. I know Lindsey and I have known each other, for maybe 3 or 4 years now, Lindsey? Somewhere?
It would have to be about that time, I reckon, Sam, yes.
And Lindsey has been in the direct selling industry for many, many years. Actually, do you want to maybe give a little bit of history as to where you come from? I've known you for 3 or 4 years, but you tell everybody else because they don't know you yet.
Sure thing. Sam, look, I've been in the direct sales space for about 20 years and so had some time in the field, which was a lot of fun growing and building my own business. And then I took some time and created coaching programs and online programs and really worked quite strongly in that space. And then I've also worked in the corporate space where I've contracted to companies. So I guess I've worn the 3 main hats. And it's really given me some interesting perspectives in terms of what it takes to actually grow a really successful business in this profession. And also it's given me some understanding of various different spaces in which, people show up, whether it be that corporate, whether it be coaching and training, or whether it be in the field itself. So it's been a heck of a ride, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. And as you say, who knows where this might go.
Well, look, the thing about you, Lindsey, is, and I kind of wanted to share this exciting part of our relationship with all of our listeners today, and that is that when I get together with you, we tend to go off on really random tangents, and we could be talking for hours and hours. Now, we're not going to do that to everyone today. I'm watching the time. I promise we won't do that to you guys. But the thing I love about you, Lindsey, is you are so passionate about this industry. And, anyone that's listened to me talk about, mine and Greg's passion about this business in direct selling, we too are also extremely passionate about it. But I love the fact that you have sort of gone into so many different areas, but I also know that because you and I met while you were working in the corporate world. So as many people know, I do a lot of work with some corporate head offices, coaching their marketing teams. Even in some cases, we help manage social media for a period of time. And that was sort of the time where we came into contact with you. And one of the things that I noticed is that in your work with leaders in this industry, you're also able to sort of pull anybody from any walk of life in the direct selling industry, whether they're absolute newbies to someone who's really experienced and been doing this for many years, and help them to do a little bit of self-reflection to further grow their business. And this is what I was excited to chat with you about today. And a question that has come up for us a lot recently, particularly over the COVID period, has been about team growth. And this is an area that you've had a lot of experience in. So I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to talk today about team, about growing your team, motivating your team, and those questions we ask ourselves around, why am I not recruiting the right people, and why is my team not growing, and why is my business not growing? I think that's a question you've probably heard a little bit over the last few years.
Oh, Sam, I think we could write a whole book just on that itself, So it's such an interesting topic, and one that I'm super passionate about. And I guess probably the first place to start whenever someone comes to me and says, you know what, Lindsey, I've really reached a plateau, my team's not growing, or I'm not bringing people into my team who are doing the business, or I'm just kind of feeling a bit blah, like, they're in that space. And I know we're in, can I use the word unprecedented? Because I know it's been thrown around a lot, but it's like we're in new times.
We are in new times.
We're in times that are different for all of us. And one of the things that I know still sits very, very true is that this time is more important than ever to continue our own personal evolution and growth. And normally what I find happens is when those teams begin to plateau and, when leaders start to feel disillusioned, it's very often because they've taken the foot off the gas when it comes to their own personal growth and development. And if there's one thing I know to be true, not just in our profession, but life generally, that is our commitment to evolve and grow is what's going to support us to grow in all areas of life, whether that's in our finances, whether it's in our relationships, or whether that's in our professional business. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make, is that they feel they've reached a pinnacle, whether it be that they reach a particular title in their company, or whether they reach a particular level of income in their company, and it's perhaps what they've set their goals or their sights on, and they get there and it's almost that they get that sense of having arrived. And arrival syndrome will, kill growth every day of the week. And as soon as that happens, we don't only stop growing, but we start dying, and our business starts to, go backwards. And it's very, very subtle to start with, but then it starts to build momentum. And very often that's when leaders start to raise their hand and go, oh my gosh, the backward momentum, how do I stop this thing? And I always just put it out there and say the fastest way to continue your growth in your business and to prevent that backward slide is to make sure that you stay committed to your own personal growth. Now, I'm just going to also say here, Sam, I'm not talking about going to events, and I'm not talking about reading books, and I'm not talking even about, if I can be so bold as to say, listening to podcasts.
They can keep listening to this one though, right?
I know, but here's something I think is even more important, because sometimes what people misunderstand when it comes to personal development and personal growth is they think listening to the thing, reading the thing, attending the thing is the personal development. It's not. It's the acquisition of knowledge. And I think that we need to be mindful, and I say we as the collective we, and the reminder of myself in it as well, is that we need to be mindful to implement what it is that we're learning. And I think this is something that many fall short in, and I raise my hand too, because, frankly, sometimes I'm a little bit over the work, especially if it comes in avalanche format, and it's like, could you just hold up a little bit, because I don't want to do any more right now. And I know some leaders are possibly feeling that, given the time of in the world that we are right now. And it's really important just to do those little things each day and to implement what it is that is being learned. And I'm sure you see this even in that social media space.
It's a huge one. It's
lots
one of the
learning,
things.
Hey?
And you sort of hit the nail on the head with that, because this is probably our greatest challenge as well, just in this business, because we can see that people want the growth, they want the help, but then they're not willing to put the time and the effort in. And this was actually something I wanted to, just in our little preamble there, Lindsey, this kind of came up in the back of my mind there. And I was thinking, I know this is a direction we're going to go here. And I wrote down, as you were talking just then, 2 words: excuses and responsibility. Because this is something that it was really on my heart just yesterday, where I had a few coaching calls with people, and I was hearing a lot of those things that we hear a lot in this industry, which is that the company is not providing me what I need. My team are not performing. My leader is not helping me when I ask for it. Facebook is changing and not working. When I do these things, it doesn't happen. And suddenly there becomes this outward, it's everyone else, but I'm not taking any responsibility for myself and the control that I have. We hand the control over and we say, it's not me, it's everyone else. Now, I'm just going to put this out there right now. This is probably a big thing on my heart, because I have a teenage son. And there is a lot of, it's not my fault, it's everyone else out there around me. And every time he says that, I think to myself, I'm pretty sure I had that same conversation with a grown woman of 35 yesterday. So, I only say this because I know you and I have talked a lot about this, and this offloading of responsibility. So, I'm sure you've got a lot to say about that.
Oh, do you know, it's
we're probably a few people just turned the podcast off right then, by the way. They just went, I'm out. This is not a conversation I want to hear.
Oh, it's so funny. And it is a conversation I have a lot. and it's a conversation I have a lot with myself too.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because we all have a part of us that has a little resistant. And do you know, I see my inner teenager periodically comes out to play.
Yes.
And if I give her the reins, she will run my entire day and things won't get done. And
We've talked about the inner teenager a few times. I'm pretty sure that you and I walked away from a conference one day going, I feel like I'm back in high school and there's something going on with me right now and I don't know what it is. But that inner teenager does, I don't think we recognize it a lot of the time, but it does come back out. And so does that 7-year-old, just quietly.
So, look, every age. I've watched my 2-year-old throw a tantrum. I've done the whole gamut when it comes to that. And we all do, right? And I could tell you a gazillion stories about that, some of them not particularly graceful or elegant. Yet I think what's important to remember is it's real. And I think that, you know, in this time and space, taking responsibility and having a firm focus of what's in your control as a leader is really important. And whenever you find yourself in a position, and this is what I do myself, so I just kind of put it out there, it's what I teach my kids, it's what I teach my clients, and it's when you find yourself out there pointing the finger away from yourself and you're suggesting that someone else does something or something else changes, then that's the time to start to turn it inwardly and say, in this moment, what do I have the power to change? And that's the only thing you can do in those circumstances. And I think from a leadership perspective, it's really important to understand that people will follow your lead. They'll do what you do, not do what you say. And, you know, I'll digress for a moment, Sam, and just say that, you know, when my dad passed away 4 months ago, I made the decision just before he passed away, about 6 weeks prior to that time, to kind of pull back from work and really spend more time at home. And so I've been home over that whole entire period of time. And it's been the most incredible experience to get really present once again for how we're showing up individually as family members and how we're showing up collectively as family. And so what I know about teams is you have teams in business, yet you also have teams in family. And so even looking at how are we as leaders showing up in our family team and looking at, are there some areas there that if we chose to improve upon, if we became a better listener for our children, if we became more understanding for that intimate partner in our lives, if we actually started turning that into that space, those skills are skills that we can then take and share with our team. Yet what tends to happen is that in those family environments, we tend to have unconditional love. We are less worried about how they perceive us. And so we don't always bring the best of ourselves to the table. And so it's really been a great space of growth for us as a family over the last 4 months in what I know for many people has been very trying circumstances. And so if anyone's on the call today and tuning in and maybe doesn't yet have a team, and you're saying to yourself, look, I really don't have a team yet, maybe wondering the relevance to you. If you're part of a family, you are part of a team. And my question to you is, how are you leading that team? And what I've come to appreciate is that over the last few months, I've noticed so many areas where our standard has dropped. And so we've developed a standard theme, a theme of how we're showing up, not just in our family lives, but also in our business lives as well. And so I think there's a really great opportunity in these times. If you're looking to reinvigorate yourself, if you're looking to get that mojo back, if you're looking to really harness what you have control over, I think about, you know, what is it that you can do yourself? How can you improve yourself? What areas of life can you raise your standard in? Because even if you make the decision to raise your standard just a teensy little bit in one area of your life, then the ripple effect of that goes across all aspects of your life. And I was only having this exact conversation with my 28-year-old daughter this morning. And I think it's relevant irrespective of whether it's a family team or a business team,
Yep.
Because we only have control over how we think, over how we feel, and what we do. Yet in that space, we have the capacity to influence and inspire others. We can't motivate them, but we can influence and inspire. And from a leadership perspective, that's what we're looking for, to influence and to inspire, and it starts with us. And families, really good space to try, because they're normally the ones that's the hardest work. That's just my experience right now. So just put it out there.
I don't know what you're talking about. We've only got, 4 kids. 2 of them are, one's a teenager. The other is just entering the teen years. And seriously, I'm sitting here just going, why did I complain about newborns?
Yeah.
I would rather go back to the sleepless nights right now, because I'm probably getting more sleepless nights worrying about what's going on with as they become young adults, because, it goes from being physical exhaustion to mental exhaustion, and teams are a little bit like that too. I really like where you're going with that, and that brings a whole new, even me just now, I'm thinking, that's so true. This is, you kind of segment all those parts of your life, but they don't need to be segmented and separated. They're very similar, and we are leaders in our own home. And people look to us as well for that leadership as parents, and they do as well in our teams. Now, on something else I was mentioning to you before was I had a phone conversation with a beautiful direct seller last week. A woman who's been in the industry for just a couple of years. She loves the business, loves the products, and she's had people come into her team and then exit again. And she sort of had, she gets sort of 3, 4, 5 people, and then she goes back down to 1, and then back up to 3, 4, 5, and back down to 1. And she's feeling quite deflated. And she said, what am I getting wrong? Is it because I'm bringing the wrong people in? Is it because I'm not giving them the right training? She said, I'm trying to motivate them, and they're just not panning out. They don't have the same passion I've got. They don't see the business the way I see it. Now, you and I had a little chat before about that superstar that we're all looking for. Let's go back into that conversation, because I think some people would really benefit from hearing this, especially, if you sort of resonate with this young woman that I spoke to, who was, I don't feel like I'm allowed to say that yet. This woman I spoke to, I can't say young woman. It's kind of like pitching myself up here. I'm still young. I'm very young, not old. It's just, anyway. I actually,
where does that leave me if you're going young woman? Like, just saying.
Look, everyone's been talking about their COVID hair. I'm going to put something out there right now. I'm going to like rip off a Band-Aid. Over this period, everyone's been sort of stressing out about their hair growing out, and I'm about to get really real with everyone. All the hair growing out, and not being able to go to the hairdresser. I kind of panicked, because the one genetic I got from my mum, I got lots from my mum, but there's one thing I got from my mum that I wish I didn't, and that is that I've started going grey. And but not just grey. I have a Cruella. You guys are all going to notice this now in every podcast. I have a Cruella de Vil chunk, which I also call my Richard Gere chunk, just here, that only shows up on podcasts.
I didn't even notice it until
because
now.
I just had my hair coloured. So as we were going through COVID and we were recording all of our podcasts, I was trying to find the best way to hide the strip. I can't believe I've just told everyone that now. They're all going to be watching for Cruella de Vil to come out, and I'll be getting these messages going, it's time, go back to the hairdresser. Anyway.
Your streak of wisdom, my love, your streak of wisdom.
Or stress, I don't know which one it is. Anyway, thank you, Mum. I'm sure there's a few of you out there that totally get where I'm coming from with that, but I would stare at the videos going, I can't run that one. It's a great interview, but I can't put it out there.
Oh gosh, you're gorgeous.
I kind of, why can't it be salt and peppered through? No, it's just anyway. So let's talk about team. So people that are thinking, I want to grow my team, I need the superstars. I need those, people that get in and they, they're passionate like I am, but they're coming in, they're coming out. How do I motivate them? let's talk a little bit about that for a minute, because you and I had a really good chat before and I kind of want to repeat it. So let's just, word for word repeat what we said previously.
Well, I'll give it a go, but Sam, what I've come to appreciate is nothing really comes out the same twice.
No, I know.
So my recollection of the conversation, because yes, I've been in that position having worked in the field and coached many, and I feel the pain of leaders, and especially new leaders who are just starting and growing their teams. And I think the greatest challenge comes from a misunderstanding and an expectation of how this recruiting looks like and what team building looks like. So I'm just going to be really bold here and just put it out on the table so that you have a bit of an understanding as to what the reality of it is. So you stop beating yourself up about bringing people in and it not working out, and just have an understanding across the board what it really looks like more from a statistical perspective. And then that way you've got some idea as to what needs to happen. And I heard about this many years ago. It's called the Thompson Rule. And the Thompson Rule was shared first by a guy by the name of Larry Thompson. And Larry Thompson worked for a network marketing company many, many years ago and is a speaker and a trainer. And I heard of him, and then I saw him speak last year at a conference when I was in the US. And the stats of this: 80% of the people that you bring into your business will have no desire, and that's really important. We're not talking about potential, and this is what I hear so many leaders say. Oh, but they have so much potential. It's not about potential, this business. It's about desire, and it's about hunger. And hunger, I don't mean that people are starving, although maybe they are, but not starving for food, starving for, achievement, starving for acceptance, community, belonging, being able to contribute, all those sorts of things.
Yep.
So when people come into the business, 80% of the people that you recruit, 80% of the people will have no desire to earn more than $500 a month. No desire. Now, when I say no desire to earn more than $500 a month, we're talking about the band between 0 and 500. So no desire to earn more than 500. A big percentage of that 80, in my own experience, having been in the field and having worked with thousands over the years, is that many sit around that $300 mark. They're looking to make about $300 a month. And so what tends to happen is if you're starting to feel disillusioned, perhaps you're in the 20% band where you have a greater desire, you're wanting to achieve more, and so you have an expectation that people are going to do as you want. Well, the answer to that is quite simply they're not. And so rather than get disappointed about it, rather than get bent out of shape over it, beating yourself up about it, like doing all of that stuff, none of which serves, and I know you know that. Yet now that you know, if you didn't before, that 80%, 0 to 500, no desire more than that, then you can come to an understanding of you will bring many more people in who will do a little. Now, the beautiful thing about a lot of people doing a little is the collective of that. And so when you have a lot of people coming together to do a little, magic happens. Bank accounts rise, impact grows. A lot can happen when you bring together a group of people doing a little. And so the biggest challenge is that leaders who are getting disillusioned are looking for the one superstar to do a lot. Now, I did the same thing when I was in the field. I looked for the superstars, and I was very blessed to find several. Yet here's what happens. When you build your team based on a few people doing a lot, when one of those people decides that for whatever reason it's not their gig anymore and pulls out, you're left with a massive hole in your business.
Absolutely.
Because that's been the bulk of who you've recruited. And so I just put it out there and say, don't do what I did, because it was a painful lesson for me to get. And so I absolutely understand where you're at, and I can appreciate the frustration. And I made many errors in this space, yet then began to understand that it was about bringing more people in and the collective impact and income that comes from a lot doing a little. And so 80%, that's the bulk of it. Then you have 20%. And so 15% of that 20% will have no desire to earn any more than $3,000 a month. No desire. 15%, no desire for more than $3,000. So in our profession, we talk about having financial freedom. And so I don't know about you, yet for me, $3,000 a month isn't financial freedom, yet for some it may be, because you never know what that is for every individual.
Yep.
And some people earning $300 to $500 a month may be financial freedom to them too, depending on what restrictions they're feeling at that time in their life, because we never fully understand what one thing means for another. And running it through your own filter and expecting people to be feeling the same way you are and making things mean the same things you're making them mean only leads down the street of frustration and disappointment. And I'll swing back around to this in a moment about the importance of gaining understanding. And if I don't remember to bring back that close that loop,
yes,
remind me.
I've got that here because I do want to come back to that one. So
yeah, it's a really important point.
Yep.
And so 15% up to 3,000, which leaves you with this 5%. Now, I've been blessed over the years to work with really high six-figure earners in their businesses. And I can tell you they are few and far between. Few and far between. The majority sit around that $3,000 mark, for many would call a big income earner.
Yep.
Very few are going into that space, of that 5% space. Now, I think of that 5%, and I don't know that this was talked about in the Larry Thompson Rule, I'm just going to throw it in my own perspective, is I think you have maybe about 3% of people who are happy and have a desire to earn around that $10,000 a month mark. And yet that leaves you only with around 2% of people who have any desire to earn more than that. And so I think when you talk about going out there and looking for specific people in your business, I think, taking the approach of welcoming people in, and looking to attract people who are compatible with your values in terms of how you want to show up in the business. So if compassion and integrity and impact and those things are important to you, then raise those values within yourself, start living them more boldly, and bring on board those people. And whether they fall into the band of the 80%, the 15, or the 5, you'll still have a blast working with them because you have those values in alignment in the first instance, even if you don't have the same income goals or the same desire to take it as big as perhaps you do if you're in the business and you're looking to take things big. And I think it's important to also realize that you never know who these people are going to be. It really is like a box of chocolates. You do not know who's going to show up, because you've got lots of talkers. I met plenty of talkers, but I haven't met so many walkers. Yep. And then you also have people who have seasons of their lives. So they might be in a season, for example, where they have small children, and so they do a little bit, the $300 to $500 a mark, while their kiddies are younger at home. And then all of a sudden the kids are in school and mum feels invigorated, empowered, inspired, and she takes this $300 to $500 a month business into being, $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 a month, because she's in a different season to life, a season of life. Yeah. So I think a lot plays into it, Sam, is what I'm saying. And sometimes we can become a little short-sighted because we fall into the trap of looking for instant gratification. I want my team to grow now. Why is it not happening?
And this is a conversation we have a lot about social media. People are saying to me, I want the sale now. How do I get the sale now? And the answer is focus on the long term with social media, just like with your team. And people will feel the difference from you because it comes from you. It comes from what your agenda is as well. And it will also mean that you end up with raving fans and followers. But it also means when it comes to team, you end up with people that feel nurtured and loved, rather than you only want me because I mean something financially for you right now. Something I just wanted to pull in on that you've mentioned, and sort of the underlying tone of what you've said here, which I think is such an important point, is like anything, it's a numbers game. And, having, I love what you said about having more. And just as you're talking about those percentages, people might be thinking, 20% is so little. And then you get to that 5% and the 3%, the 1%, it's such a tiny number. But if you recruit 100 people, it's one person, and then 3 people, and then 5 people, and then actually it's 20 people that are those people that are going to be those, guns that get out there and have a crack, just at different levels. And so, if you're recruiting 3 people and 5 people and thinking, I'm going to focus on these few people I've just recruited and put all my time and energy into motivating and inspiring them, you don't know where they're at and you don't know what their motivation is. And it's unlikely that it's the same as yours. But if you focus on continuously recruiting, something I know to be true is that people want to follow people. So the more people you have, the more that you have in your business, people want to be a part of something. So if you've got 50 or 100 people in your team that are, all gathering together for all different reasons from all walks of life, and they're all, all different motivations, people are going to be more likely to want to jump in and be a part of that team, and they'll take their own place within that team. Whereas if there's only 2 or 3 people and you're, hammering them because you're trying to get them to perform, people are less likely to want to join that environment.
Yeah.
So that was probably a big standout from me about what you said. And I don't know if that's where you would go with that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but straight away that's where my head goes to from a strategy perspective.
Yeah. Totally. And I made the point to say, and I know you get this, Sam, yet I just will make the point for people who maybe haven't heard the perspective before. And when Sam said it's a numbers game, I just want to kind of share it for people who...
It makes it sound a little...
No, but it's the people are not numbers.
Yeah.
So there's just clarity. And I know we get that, Sam, but if anyone's tuning in for the first time, it's not that the people are numbers. It's about understanding the numbers of your business. It's not that the people are numbers. The human component is an incredibly important part. It's what makes the business grow. It's what makes it flourish.
Absolutely.
And I think the other thing, Sam, is too many people are focusing on recruiting rather than having conversations. The focus is not in the right place.
Yep.
So if the focus is, oh my gosh, I've got to go out and recruit someone, I've got to recruit someone, I've got to recruit someone, then that's all you're focused on is the recruiting. And very often you can miss the fact that someone's phase and stage of life is different to yours and they may not be open yet, but because you don't strike up a conversation, you don't kind of put enough people in your funnel of conversations, then you kind of hang on to the people that have said yes with such a tight grip that they feel stifled, and you put all your eggs in the basket of having them perform. And then my question, if that's what you're doing right now, my question is, how are you performing? Because what I often see is there's like this, this tight hold on this, small amount of people to perform, but the leader themselves is so focused on getting everyone else to perform, they're not reaching their sales targets, they're not reaching their own conversation
they're
targets.
Not leading the way by example.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally. And I don't make any judgment on that. Oh my gosh, I've done that.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Totally been there. And that's why I guess we can see it, and why it's important to remember that. And I'll swing back, because this ties into what you've just said there, Sam, and that is you understanding, and it's my favorite quote, and I can share with you what's really transformed our family in the last 4 months is our desire to seek greater understanding. Now, it was the late Stephen Covey who said, seek first to understand, then be understood. And what I see so often happen with leaders is they're looking to get people to get their perspective, to get their point of view, to get that the products are good, to get that the business is great, to get that the opportunities are amazing. And so they look to try and push their message onto other people. Whereas if they were to take a step back and seek to understand where the individuals are that they're having conversations with, whether they've said yes and are in their team or not, then what happens very organically is you find windows of opportunity to influence and inspire. Yet if you're so busy trying to get people to get your perspective, you just don't understand where they're at. And motivation is something that's intrinsic. It comes from within. And so when you seek to understand someone, you have the ability to influence that person, to inspire that person, to tap into their own motivation to go out into the world and use their business as a vehicle to impact. Yet if you don't pause enough to seek that understanding first, then chances are the types of conversations that you're having with them are not hitting the mark for them, are hitting the mark of inspiring that person to become self-motivated and do the work needed to actually move. And I just want to share this amazing mother moment. It's just incredible, and it just really speaks to this. Short story, we have a beautiful 28-year-old girl, Chloe. She lives with autism and cerebral palsy, and one of her greatest challenges comes down to communication, her ability to speak fluently. Cerebral palsy's impacted her speech, and therefore very often she's not well understood. And what I've noticed in the last 4 months of being home and not being so busy is the level of understanding that we've had of Chloe over the period of the last 4 months has inspired her to the point where she's now feeling motivated to go and learn to read and to go to speech therapy. Now, I've been doing my best to influence her to do this for as many years as I can remember. Yet the part that I was missing was to better understand and delve into what will motivate her, what's a driving force within her. And so now she literally turned around to me today and she said, "You know what, Mum? I think I might like to learn to read better. Can you help me with that?"
That's amazing.
Totally.
Wow.
Yet it didn't come from me telling her what to do and trying to get her to get it, which is what, as leaders, we do, whether we're leaders of families or whether we're leaders in teams. And I share this today because it's a lesson that I'm continuing to evolve in, and some days I'm on my training wheels big time. Yet I just think, if we turn back to it, Sam, seek first to understand rather than to get our point across, magic happens.
Absolutely. What an amazing and inspiring story, and a really great reminder to us as well that I love that. So that the understanding of people and stopping to ask the questions and getting to know them, such a powerful thing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's relative today.
Well, and one thing that I did want to just finish off on as we wrap up today, because I think this chat has been, I know certainly from my perspective, this has been really inspiring and a really great reminder that we are the leaders, and if we're wanting to grow our business and our team, it starts with us. And whether that is your performance on social media, and something we said at the very start today was you need to be leading the way, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it pushes you out of your comfort zone. You can't expect others to do more than you're doing, and you can't expect them to even do it as well as you're doing, because you need to always be a few steps ahead. And so, if you've got a desire to grow this business and you want to do it by growing team, then you need to lead the way. And that might be understanding their motivation, something that took me a lot of years to understand, and I'm still trying to understand it, just like you are, Lindsey, with kids, is that different people are motivated in different ways. It's very easy to assume that just because I might be motivated by recognition or money or success, somebody else might be motivated by community and connection and friendship. Someone else might be motivated by going to a conference, whereas the next person might be motivated by the product and they just want to share it with more people because they believe in what it does. And understanding that motivation is key and important, because we can't force our motivation onto somebody else. And the more that we try, the more they're going to pull away. And I'm seeing this with our kids. The more I try to get them to understand the importance of learning instead of inspiring them to learn through whatever motivates them. We've had a very similar situation where our son didn't want to perform at school. He was not interested in performing, but he wants to be a pilot, which your amazing husband is a pilot. So I know that you this one is a little close to home here, but he really wants to be a pilot. And we keep saying to him, if you want to be a pilot, you need to be good at school. You're going to have to put some effort in, do your homeworks, get better than your D's and your C's. Yeah. But saying that to him didn't work. But then we brought him into a new school, and the new school has an aviation program where they're building a plane. Suddenly he's getting A's and B's, and he is doing his very best to succeed because he wants the school to see him succeed because they'll let him do more of the aviation. So it's just, we stopped and went, hang on a sec, what motivates him, what gets him excited? And suddenly he's performing. We tried for ages to explain it to him through our own reasons and methods and motivations, and it just simply didn't work. But I went off on a tangent, as we always do. What I did want to say was a really important point you brought up before, and that was that this industry is also an industry that is all about fun, and sometimes we need to stop being quite so serious. And especially right now, we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves at the moment. I know I'm having a lot of very serious conversations, and I keep bringing people back to, why do you do what you do? What do you love about the business? What makes your heart sing? What brings you joy? And how can you have more fun? Because direct selling is fun. So I don't know if you've got any tips.
Oh, yeah, I have.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. I'm so glad.
Tips. Sam, I cannot tell you how many times over the years I've been asked by people who maybe do in-home parties or events, how can I make them more fun? And the thing about fun is, again, it's something that comes from within. And but we seem to think that we have to be out here in order to be the fun. And so as leaders, we bring the fun in how we show up. We bring the fun in our smile. We bring the fun in our playfulness. And the beautiful thing I love about this profession is we have lots of women in the profession. And the gorgeous thing is many either are mums, know mums, or have access to be around children in some way, shape, or form. And what children do, I think, for us as women is they help to keep us in that space of fun, because fun is what kids are all about. And I think that sometimes we lose a little bit of that when we have kids, and we become all too serious because, we're mothers now and we've got responsibility and blah, blah, blah. So the thing that I do to keep in that fun space is to engage the most playful part of yourself, that inner child in you. So I love colouring books, and I've got colouring books with glitter pens, and if I'm going to be writing down some things in a journal, I've got smiley stickers and I've got unicorn stickers, and so I put those on the book. If it's raining, I'll be the first one to be out, no shoes in the puddles in the mud. I love the bubble pipes. So it is about giving yourself permission to engage that part of you that you've chosen to stifle. And that's what we do. We stifle the part of ourselves that loves naturally to play. And the more you can give yourself permission to play, and if you struggle with it, follow a child's lead. They haven't.
Oh my gosh, Lindsey, I can just see it now. I'm going to be flossing.
Yes, floss, baby, floss. How does that even work, right?
My kids actually, we've got video of my kids teaching me how to do it. It's all the fun stuff. Look, I think this has been really awesome, and you're so right. And this actually reminds me of just a week ago, I was on the playground with my kids because they wanted me to go down the slide with them. I regret that intensely because it was a brand new playground, very big slide. Anyway, look, I think this has been really great, and I feel like we just, as always, we started to open up a new can of worms. I think like we could have a whole episode on bringing the fun to your team. But I am very aware of time, and I do want to wrap up now, but I would really love to encourage you guys, if you've got, questions around how you could build your team, if you want, some more thoughts or advice, or even if you want to connect with Lindsey, reach out to us on our Facebook page. We'd love to interact with you guys. We're going to put Lindsey's Facebook page as well in the show notes, so you guys can connect with her. If you feel like I resonated with Lindsey and I want to have a call with her, I want to have a chat, then you can definitely connect with her. I'm just going to volunteer you right now, Lindsey. I feel like we know each other well enough.
I'm grateful.
I will get off this call and she'll be like, "Oh, what did you do that for?"
No, grateful as always to help.
Yeah. So look, thank you so much for joining us today, Lindsey. I feel like this has been a really inspiring little chat. I'm really hoping that this has just maybe lifted a little weight for a couple of people today, where they've been really putting that pressure on themselves and they realize, you know what, I haven't lost control at all. I've still got the control. In fact, you guys have got all the control because it starts with you. So what can you change? And what can you do? What little step can you take that's going to have that ripple effect on your team, your family, everyone around you? So Thank you so much. This has been really awesome. We really appreciate you and your time today, Lindsey.
Oh, you're so welcome, Sam. I just love sharing the space with you. It's always a pleasure. And pitching and catching with you is a bunch of fun. So happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get to do this again sometime. I know that our conversations are always, a lot of fun. And if only to be a fly on the wall for some of those chats that we've had, they have been.
Yeah.
We've had many, very late night hot chocolates with, the pajamas and the slippers and talking about goodness knows what when we're off traveling and speaking at conferences and events. So it's been so great catching up with you again, even though via Zoom, but it's been really great chatting. And I really hope that, a couple of people out there today have just, really benefited from this, maybe got a couple of little golden nuggets that they're going to be able to go away and use in their business. So again, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in again today and listening. We look forward to seeing you all again next week. But in the meantime, God bless, look after yourselves and look after those amazing teams of yours. And we'll see you again on the podcast for next episode next week. Bye for now.
Bye for now.